So some really big business news over the past couple weeks has been Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, the outdoor clothing gear company. Jackets, fleece, things like that. A lot of stuff geared toward being outdoors and being active. Chouinard himself is a climber. I think he surfs and does all kinds of stuff like that. And that's why he founded the company. And he's always said, I never wanted to be a billionaire. Well, he recently was, but he's not anymore because he put out a statement on the company's website saying the earth is our only shareholder. So what does he mean by that? He and his family have set up what's called a 501c4, which is a type of nonprofit organization. And all the money that doesn't go toward Patagonia business expenses is going into this fund. I believe it's going to be $100 million a year was the estimate. That money is going into this fund that is going to be directed toward fighting climate change. So this is big. To my knowledge, this is unprecedented. So it's a pretty big business news, pretty bold move.
Well, my first question when we first started talking about this was like, is this going to his nonprofit? Like, I know this is pretty common practice that companies will do this, that they will say, hey, we're going to be donating all of this money. And then you come to find out it's like, well, you're actually running the nonprofit. So it's not really going through somebody else. And when we talked again, what did you say? Actually, yeah, that is what's going on. And it's like, I don't mean to question this guy's motive. I mean, I do know that this is a pretty common practice that you just funnel it to a nonprofit that you own. And so, where I'm left kind of wondering is like, well, one, why make this such a public announcement? Like, why are you looking for kudos for something that you already are saying that you believe in anyways? And second, why not just find other organizations that you're not attached to send them the money?
Yeah, I understand your skepticism, Nick, because 501c4s don't have the best reputation. It's gotten a reputation as a dark money kind of setup because it was going towards a lot of lobbying. You didn't have to always disclose your donors, so there was a lot of anonymity and not a lot of transparency. And so it became more of a political tool than it was before. In a way, it is kind of surprising that the Patagonia founder is using this form, but overall, it is on brand with him. He and the company have always supported environmentalism, and so I can see them authentically giving money to that cause and trying to make the most impact possible and not having to be taxed for your donations into the 501c4 does make what he gives more impactful. I know this is usually used for dark money, but there's nothing dark about it if he's making a very public announcement about what he's doing, so we know where the money's coming from. And I guess I'm a little torn because I have a very positive outlook on this because I agree with the cause that he's supporting, but do I agree with 501c4s in general and a lack of transparency? Am I going to say it's still a great thing if I find out that someone is using this kind of organization for more nefarious purposes or just anything shady that I don't agree with? I guess that would be kind of hypocritical of me, but at least in this specific instance, I am on board with what Chouinard is doing.
At the end of the day, it's going to really matter what the organization does. I've seen a lot of organizations, what they'll do is like, yeah, we're a profitable business. And because they're paying so much in taxes, and in reality is they really don't pay that much in taxes. I mean, a lot of these huge corporations, I mean, they're paying way, way less than workers are. I mean, this is just a fact of life, right? So what they'll do is like, if they have this profitable business, they'll create like this nonprofit that holds all of their businesses. And then and they'll say like, well, I don't own my business. I don't own it. This nonprofit is the one that owns it. But it's like, while all that is true legally, it's true. You don't own it. You don't quote unquote take a profit from this. Okay, now that you've created this entity, and that's like literally what he's doing. He's like, I'm taking all my profit from this business and I'm putting it into this nonprofit. So, I mean, just what I described is literally what this man's doing. And so, but what's the intention that this organization is going to have is what really matters. It's like, okay, he found a loophole. Maybe, in all fairness, if I was, to be on the other side, maybe he's using this and saying, well, I can't do as much with this money because it's always being taxed. But if I find this loophole to send this profit over here and it doesn't get taxed, maybe I could do more good and I can actually affect more change. So, over time, it's really going to let the public know what is his real intentions. Because if it's like 10 years from now and they've had this great impact on global climate change, and it's like, okay, then yes, he just was using the system to be able to make a bigger impact. But we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, we do have to wait and see. I mean, at the moment, we're just taking him at his word, but his word is backed by decades of other words and actions that are all very consistent. So that's where I'm getting optimism in terms of this being not just a way to avoid paying taxes. I mean, he said in his statement, there were no other good options. So it seems to me that if he felt the US government was doing an adequate job of combating climate change, he would be happy to pay millions in taxes on top of what he's putting into this fund. But he clearly doesn't think that. And he believes that that money could be better spent by putting it directly toward climate change. So it seems like less of an escape from taxes, just based on his past. I mean, even if you look at ads Patagonia has run, one of the famous ones from several years ago was "Don't buy this jacket." This was a Black Friday ad. They put a picture of a Patagonia jacket on there, and they said, if you don't need this, don't buy it because consumerism is hurting the planet. Now, sure, maybe that was good for business because it built up brand loyalty, and maybe some people didn't buy it that year, but they eventually bought Patagonia because it was burned into their minds that this is a company I want to support. So yeah, sure. There was probably some financial benefit to saying, don't buy this stuff right now. But the fact that they put that out there and that they got people thinking about, do I really need this at a time when everybody else is saying, buy, deep discounts. That's pretty admirable.
Well, do you run email campaigns? Do you run like discounts? Do you like do 2-for-1 specials? Like, do you do any of that stuff? Like, that's where my mind goes because it's like, well, if you're telling people not to buy anything, then are you doing zero marketing? Are you doing zero upsells? Are you doing like none of those things? Like, I would probably say I doubt it. I mean, you are like a $1 billion brand, so you had to do something to sell your products.
Yeah, but I think if you're a purpose-driven company, there are just inherent catch-22s. I mean, Patagonia just recently said, we've always been unapologetically a for-profit company. We're not a charity. We're a business. We just have certain values and certain causes that we want to contribute to with our profits. And they also acknowledged that if they don't stay profitable, if Patagonia doesn't keep making money, this whole thing falls apart.
I keep harping on this. Like, one, I mean, you talk about this in one of your videos about what we think is the right way to give back to the community. But one of the things that really stands out is like when you do these type of initiatives, I feel like you got to be careful about talking too much about it because it's like literally like what we're doing here. It's like, okay, 1 minute you're telling people not to buy anything from you that you're destroying the environment. But the fact that one, you pay for the ad and you're paying on Black Friday, and as someone who's ran campaigns, For e-commerce businesses during that time of the year, they're the most expensive to run ads. It's like, it is super expensive. It's like, that's why you only see the biggest brands running ads during those times, because it's really expensive to run ads on any of the channels, Facebook, Google Ads, any of that stuff. And so then it creates a contradiction. It's like, well, why are you running an ad? Why are you wasting your money on an ad to begin with? Why not just go ahead and put your money over here? And why not just stop running ads altogether? If you're going to make this type of commitment, which is admirable, like, first of all, I just want to say what he's trying to do, I think, is incredible. I'm all for it if that's his intention. But when you start getting into the media and you start like kind of talking about it and hyping yourself up, like, look at me. It's almost like, look at me. It's like, to me, it's like a kid. Hey, mom, I did good. Look at me. Like, I washed the dishes today. And it's like, okay, like, you don't need to tell me that you washed the dishes. Just go and do it. And then all of your actions are going to just speak for themselves. It's like, because now you're going to have people like us and people like me that's going to read into your words and like, okay, like, then why are you talking so much about it? Why did you funnel it to your own nonprofit? Like, just do it. And just the proof is in your actions.
Yeah, you make a great point. I mean, in many cases, just do it and people will recognize you for it. Or if you're really altruistic, just it doesn't matter if you get recognized for it if you're doing the right thing. But on the other hand, when you're a public figure, doing something like this and getting publicity from it also could set an example, and it could inspire other companies to do things like that, or inspire consumers to think about the problems with consumerism and climate change and whatnot, and encourage them to think a little more carefully with their dollars.
And here's the thing: these guys at that level, they run in pretty similar circles. They know about each other, and so there's a lot of ways that he can make influences without like telling the world like, I'm great, look at me. It's like, well, okay. I mean, like I said, we'll see. I mean, I have a feeling that you're going to do a lot of good things. I'm just questioning from a marketing standpoint, like the need to go out and create this narrative when your actions are going to create it for you.